What spawns from the loins of imagination.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of PT3600. This is the podcast where we all sit down and we talk about one topic for 3,600 seconds, which equals out to 1 hour. My name is Ryan E. Moore, but joining me is
Ashton.
And
hey, it's Josh.
But also coming back for his another appearance, because I don't know how many.
Have a stroke?
I don't know how many that we've done. So, fine, we'll say it. The second appearance. Here he is.
Spider-Man.
Yep, Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Sorry. You didn't hear that.
It slipped out. Where did they hear you at originally?
Y'all heard me on the music episode.
Yes. You go by Saint Crown.
Yes.
We played one of your songs, Sheep.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. It was good.
I wrote it. I would know.
But
Oh man, here I was telling everybody it was called Goats. Damn it.
shit! I knew that smear on my hand was not the right one. It was some barn animal. I don't know. Anyway, in this episode, we are talking about creative minds, the imagination, or what inspires us to do what we do. Either that be music pertaining to Steven, or for the Primal Target people, it being like why we make the videos we make. So what inspires us to do that? So yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about in this episode.
It's interesting. When you said creative, I thought you meant like creative mode on Minecraft, so I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fine. We're not talking about Minecraft?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm gonna just leave. I am not prepared now.
It's the internet's playground.
Yeah. So, yes, we were talking about what it kind of inspires us here. It was kind of a collective creation of this topic. So I don't know who wants to start or where they want to take this. Do we want to start with
Let's go around and talk about the type of, content we create.
That's
good call.
There's PT. We all like to do different things in Primal Target, and then Steven over here does something completely different than us. So let's start with old Joshy.
Oh, okay. So other than doing video stuff or podcasts or whatever, I enjoy doing this, but my main outlet for creation is I tend to write and I like to draw, and so I usually draw. I guess. First and foremost is I'm writing a book series. I do poetry and short stories and stuff like that too, but my main drive to create and my main goal in life is to write a novel series, and I do art pertaining to that. I mean, I'll doodle and draw and do all sorts of things. I draw a lot of pictures at work, and I doodle things and I'll hang them up on the board. I drew a strawberry chicken the other day just for the hell of it.
A strawberry chicken?
What? I don't think I've ever heard those two words in the same sentence.
Well, I have a picture.
Is it a strawberry as a chicken, or is it a chicken as a strawberry?
It's both. So,
it's both.
Yeah, I'll show a picture.
Or is it a delicious glaze that you put upon your chicken dish?
Maybe I'll email a picture. Maybe we can post it up on the thing there. But
you doing some illegal gene splicing over here, man?
Yes.
You good?
His favorite thing is Full Metal Alchemist.
But that is true, yes.
True.
Mhm.
True.
Yep. Yeah, I just need a little bit of saltpeter, a couple of other elements here and there, and I'll be able to make things. But yeah, I just like to draw weird stuff. But mostly I'm trying to work on my own series, and so I just really enjoy writing. That's kind of my outlet, and then obviously art in turn with that, because I've been drawing since I was 3 years old, and writing came a little bit later. That wasn't until I was probably about 10 or 11, and then I really started getting heavy into it when I was a teenager, because I had my first heartbreak, and so poetry just was in there. The first my first girlfriend that had dumped me, and it was all of a sudden I was I want to be a writer, and then I was writing poetry, and then I was writing short stories, and
every broken-hearted teenager.
Yep, and then I just was
I feel it from over here.
Yeah, and it's I love this stuff. I'm going to keep doing this just because, and so that was kind of my thing. And yeah, I've just kind of been working on stuff like that for the last, I don't know, 20 years or 30 years, however long I've been alive. But I do enjoy just creating in general. I like working with clay, and I like making videos and things like that. Anything that that is just making things, I really enjoy because I like to learn about those things and then apply my own learning to that. So that's kind of what I enjoy doing.
Do you work with Clay Aiken?
Clay,
That is,
he works with
that
a
is
ghost.
incredible.
He works with Patrick Swayze that sits behind him.
Yep.
And a nice song and a turned, like the little like spinny little
Oh
thing.
god.
I was
I'm in
wondering
the
why I
presence
felt
of
weird
greatness.
the
I
other
didn't
night
even
when I
know
was
it.
making that pot.
Yeah, why did I have a homoerotic type of dream that other day?
I heard that song. What was it? Oh my God.
We weren't
True
even making
inspiration.
anything. He just kind of put his fingers in between mine.
What's really messed up is he's really dead too.
Yeah,
so I guess
yeah,
it's like,
he is
yeah,
dead.
I guess
So
he
it
really is a
was
ghost. Oh boy.
Wow.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
Go too
Yeah.
real there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Too soon. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun. I really like making things. It's fun. Like I think everybody should have some kind of hobby that allows them to create something. Like my brother, for example, he's one of those people that it's like, oh, I've got nothing to do. I'm always bored all the time. And it's like, well, why don't you write something? Oh, no, I don't want to write. Well, why don't you try drawing something? I don't want to draw. Well, why don't you, like, go out and, like, do something in nature? I don't want to do anything in nature. It's like, dude, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're going to be bored if you don't find something to do, you know? And it's like, sometimes you got to take the initiative to make your own fun, you know?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
where
Yeah.
I think hobbies of creation come into play because growing up too, like I didn't have a lot of money, I didn't have a lot of friends, so the easiest hobby for me that didn't take a lot of that. I mean, granted, art is kind of an expensive hobby, but if you're just working with pencils and pens, you know, and like you don't have all the expensive stuff, you can still make something great out of that. And so, like, I always found that was a good outlet for me because I didn't have a lot of stuff to do outside of my home, or I didn't have the means to do it, you know, and so it was just easier to do that, you know, and I guess like reading, like, kind of comes with that also, you know, it's just kind of a byproduct of that. No, dude, I loved reading Rainbow.
Dude, did you know he has a podcast?
Really?
Yeah, he reads a story every week.
Dude, I'm gonna look that up when I get out of here. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, man.
What are we doing
Lamar,
on this podcast?
Lamar.
We should be reading
Burton.
stories.
Yeah, Lamar Burton.
Lamar Burton. That's
Yeah, because I used to watch
Lamar.
Reading Rainbow when I was a kid. I love that show.
Yeah.
God, I can't think about reading Rainbow without thinking about that DMX edit. Rainbow. You think it's a game?
Suck my dick.
Here we go again.
God dang it. And then he did a Rudolph the Red-Nosed. He legitimately did one.
Oh yeah, I've seen that because that's the one where he's freaking out about the internet. It's the same video, right? He doesn't know what the internet. What the hell's the internet? You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
you
'cause
just
that
type
video's
in this.
really old. That video's really old.
Yeah.
Oh my god. DMX.
Didn't he just get released from prison?
Yeah,
like,
I think he just did.
yesterday or something like that?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
It was. I just saw something about it. I can't read, so I see pictures. And I'm like,
And these magical shapes that float around it.
Yes, it's a good thing his name's only 3 letters, right?
took me a while, but I got it.
God damn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, I guess what I like doing most, you know, apart from Primal Target, because Primal Target, I like to do everything. Like I want to be a part of everything. I like doing a lot of stuff. Like I just like making content. It's fun. I like doing things with other people because I feel like if I get to know somebody, I can easily change little things about me to make sure that I mix well with others. I feel like I can do that if, you know, I spend, you know, a couple hours with somebody, I can just immediately, you know, form to someone else. It's easy for me to mirror other people if I need to. Those of you who watch me stream, when I'm by myself, I'm a pretty vulgar guy. You know, right now, you know, on podcasts, I kind of keep it chill because, you know, what's there to get mad about, you know? I rage quite a bit, you know. But for me, like, I've always had a passion for video games. Been playing them since I was in the womb. My mom was playing Donkey Kong Country while she was like 8 months pregnant with me. Like, I was playing that
You were
shit.
player 2.
Yeah, dude. I was player number
You
2.
got the worst controller.
Hey, man, it's all right though, because like I got those thumbs. So For me, I guess once I started getting into gaming a little bit more, at first I liked the competitive side because by the time I was 12, I was beating everybody in my family at every video game ever. Didn't matter what it was, I could just beat them at it. If I played it 2 games of anything, I could just pick it up and play it, and I'd be good to go.
God, I'm glad I wasn't your sibling. I would've
Yeah,
hated
my
you.
siblings hated me. My uncle, who's only a couple years older than me, I kind of grew up with him. Anytime I beat him in like Madden or anything like that, he'd just slug me in the arm. So I'd like get punished every time for beating him. But
Good game. Enjoy your bruise.
he's like, "Fucking stop!" And he just punched me in the arm. Like, I'm 8. And so at first it was the competitive side, but once Halo came around, I was about 12 or 13 by then, and it allowed you to, make your own game, like make your own map. So Forge mode was like a huge turning point for me. You were able to see like all these cool things that other people can make, and I'm like, whoa, this is like way more fun than some of the other stuff that's just on the game. You can make up all these little games, mini games that you want. Custom games is a huge thing for me. It allowed you to, in a way, make your own game. And I really started to get into that aspect, for just years and years. And I didn't fully end up starting to make my own stuff until about Halo Reach, and then Halo 4. I made my most successful map. It was just a spin-off of like Slenderman.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And I was able to glitch it to where I put it under the water, so it gave it this huge foggy effect, so you could barely see in front of you. And I put like trees everywhere, and I made them invisible. I basically made this game called The Black Plague. In Halo 4, you were able to give a trait to the infected to make them have the traits of like the Flood. But I made them invisible, and with filters and the glitch from the fog effect for underwater, made it look like black smoke was running around the map.
Oh, that's insane.
And that's all you could see, and it was intense.
Like the smoke monster from Lost?
Yes, exactly like that.
That's
It
wild.
was intense, and no matter how many times you play, you end up screaming at least once in the game because like they come out of nowhere. You don't see it until it's right
That's
there.
amazing. Over here on some Bird Box. But
Yeah,
Bird
Yeah.
Box stole it from you.
yeah. It was intense, and just like I wanted it to be perfect. So that's when that. For those of you who watched the first episode with Steven here with the music one, that's where the Zelda remixes came in. I spent 12 hours straight, and I built it, and just did some minor tweaking from some feedback, which I love feedback.
Yeah.
And just being able to watch people enjoy something that I made by myself was just one of the best feelings ever. So for me, content creation is like making something of my own. I like to build. So that's me.
awesome.
All right, what about you, Steven? What do you like to do? What do you like to create?
Sometimes I play music and then I try to say words over it,
Okay.
and then I put that on
And what do
YouTube.
they call that?
I think it's a 3-letter word. I'm trying to-
3-letter word?
It's not DMX. It's it's rap.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
so I make music. I attempt to make music. That is, I actually do a little bit of video game creation now and again.
You do.
GTA 5.
Oh, okay. You make
the
it
creator
racetracks.
mode.
I remember.
I was gonna ask about the
pretty
GTA,
much
yeah.
all I do in that game anymore is make racetracks. I'm waiting for that new Arena War creation mode to come out.
Ooh,
Because
okay.
I don't know if you've seen that update, but Arena War is.
I haven't played it though.
It's on some Mad Max. It's
Yeah, I was gonna
amazing.
say it's
So,
kind of like that mixed with Death Race or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks
But
really
yeah,
fun.
like
Whoops.
I totally relate with the feeling of being able to take some people out onto your creation and like show them the ropes and like, here's where this is happening, or like surprise them with it. And that's one of those things about video games that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that creator mode gives you a chance to do that.
It's kind of like that scene in the first Jurassic Park. Old guys Jurassic Park.
They do move in herds.
Oh my god. But yeah, so a little bit of video games, but mostly music. I have been listening to rap and a lot of other genres for a long time, and I think somewhere between we talked about this on the music episode, somewhere between like 10 and 16-ish, I started trying to make my own music. And ever since that first attempt, like I got over the cringe feeling of this is terrible. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I've found so much passion and so much of a creative release being able to put my thoughts out, just over instrumentals that I've heard or I've made. Like I've tried to make my own, and that's another thing that's a completely different ball of wax. Producing your own instrumentals, because you have to try to make it something that fits with words, if it's going to be a rap song or if it's going to be whatever. But if you're trying to do something like an intro or like an EDM type track, you can kind of feel your way through it. So it's always different. Like every new composition is a new opportunity to try some new things, probably mess them up horribly, but still learn from it in one form or another. But yeah, that's me.
Well, my name is Ryan, and
Welcome to
Hi,
recovery. Wait, you're an alcoholic? Me too.
no, yeah, I like to create stuff. Obviously, I've this isn't the first time I've made a creative group, and we can get into that later if we want to. And it's the journey that I've gone through from all of those to get to here, and like want to create Primal Target into being the next thing is. I've tried to get all the learning experience from those failures to this one, and then like to take, okay, well that failed there, so there's no point of wasting my time there. And I think with making all the stuff, and like my whole idea when I was trying to do Primal Target was, okay, this is the one thing that I want to do in this one is I want to get people that want to do this. And if you don't want to do it and your heart's not in it, then you're wasting my time. And like that was kind of like the whole railroad connecting that I had. You ever had those railroad blocks, when they were like they connect only in one piece?
Yep.
So if they flip over, then obviously they're not going to fit that way.
Yep.
So that's kind of how this journey of Primal Target has kind of been. It's like I've been trying to pick up all those pieces, and I'm trying to build my railroad track. And so far, you have the ups and downs. And obviously you have some of the more, like right now, I think we're on a really good track. We got a couple people here that are really trying to like be something in their own right, which allows Primal Target to grow. And I think if that feeling of, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do this on my off time. I want to do this to make this my next thing. As long as you have that, and I'm not even speaking from like Primal Target either at this point. It's like, as long as you have that fire, then you feel like you're not wasting time, and then you could just enjoy life because that's what you wanted to do anyway. It's kind of like how you were talking about your crew is, Steven, is just about how you've found people that absolutely come from the same life that you've kind of come with, the hardships that you kind of fallen down with, and you've all picked yourselves up together and rose up into this like brotherhood kind of thing,
right.
of your own right,
Brother.
Yeah. What you gonna do, brother? When Primal Target's coming for you.
That's called foreshadowing for another topic.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's totally like this whole feeling of I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Like my dream job is to work in movies and make movies, and I want to be on the making of the movies aspect of things. So like I don't really want to be an actor. I've been told I can be one. I'm like,
yeah,
I got a face for radio, man. I can't do that. So it's like I really feel this is the right crew right now, especially when I've had Jameson come on. I've had my brother be able to do that with him, and his heart's not in it, but it's like he has some interest in it. So it's like it's some fun thing that I can do with him. I don't know if you feel like that,
Yeah,
Ashton, with when you have Nate on there. It's like it's a fun moment that you can have with your brother.
Yeah.
And And that's kind of why I like having the guests come on. You know, I can have a conversation with you, and I haven't even talked to you in like forever. So it's like, it's really cool that we can like come to a ground of where, oh yeah, we can totally build each other up right now.
Right.
And yeah, so that's kind of like, I love working with other people, and that's kind of my creative thing. Is like, I like finding what people are really good at, and then let's just do that together now. Like, you know, with Ashton,
That's
he
some
was
team
wanting to
leadership.
do like kind of into streaming, and I'm like, bro, like come on, like join Primal Target, and like we can just do that together.
Climb aboard.
And then he did that, yeah, toot toot. And then
170 strong.
All aboard the Primal Target train.
Exactly. And then with Josh, it was like, oh, like I just finished writing a script. Like you like writing, like let's do that. And so like that's kind of the interest that I saw in Josh, and then
Yeah, we've already got like 2 or 3 ideas for things that we need to
like
make.
so many things that like we're already
many
cooking, and so and then he started to drive an interest into like making the content. So I'm like, oh man, dude, that's totally awesome. So like that's kind of what I wanted to do, and especially there's been I don't want to like neglect all the other people that have been a part of it, like Christian, David, and Quinn. Like those 3 guys were amazing when their hearts were in it, but when your passion's not for it, then like I'm not gonna be mad at that. Like that's something that's just something that you just don't want. And like, who am I to tell you like, oh, you still gotta be? No, you find your own thing. Like I feel like we're put on this planet to find out what. I mean, I'm a Christian, so that's whatever. But like, to find out what like God's purpose is, or whatever your life purpose is, like what you feel as this is what I need to do, and anything that's holding you back around it is like that's you need to get rid of that. There's no point of that.
I'm with you.
So like that's kind of my creative thing is like the drive, the constant like trying to build the train. So
Well, that actually leads me into something that I wanted to say, because I was going to ask you guys, as far as creating any kind of content, whether it be videos, music, writing, whatever. I find that I am my own worst critic, and regardless of whatever I make, I'll
again, I've been doing YouTube for like 10 years, so it's
yeah,
like,
and it's like
totally
you'll make something, and then like you'll be like, okay, that's good, and then you'll leave it, and maybe you'll start something else, a couple other projects, whatever, and then you'll go back and you'll be like, I could change that just a little bit to make it a little bit better, but then sometimes you really got to step back and be like, no. Just leave it. It's one, a learning experience, because it might not have been the best, but you learned something while doing it. And 2, it helps other people see how far you come. Because I think one of the things that I find, especially doing these like podcasts or making any kind of video game gameplays or anything like that, like because what got me into this whole idea of doing podcasts and video game stuff was my friend turned me on to Rooster Teeth like, God, I want to say like 7-8 years ago. It was when they were still in like season 2.
Before we do that, do we want to segue into our inspirations?
Oh, well, I guess, yeah. Because I guess
I have a lot of inspirations.
Well, yeah, because I guess this is technically kind of one of mine, because I guess on this on this part of the video or whatever, or making videos and stuff, because my friend had turned me on to Rooster Teeth when they were still in like season 3 or 4 of Red versus Blue. So it was like, they were only like 4 or 5 years into it. And I started watching Red versus Blue, and then that's when Achievement Hunter got started, and they started making gameplay videos, and then I started watching YouTube on a regular basis and seeing all these other people do gameplay videos and just random videos, and it's like, dude, like I want to make videos, because when you were saying the director thing, it was like I went to college for acting for a little while, but I couldn't continue that career path like I wanted to. But it's like, yeah, dude, like I want to make movies, I want to make videos, and that's what kind of spurned my interest into this. And then it was like, well, I just need to find somebody who wants to do that, because like I don't know how to do that by myself. And so like how you guys, it's like how you guys say, once you find the right group of people that can help kind of push you and motivate you in the right direction, it's like, oh, dude, like this is way easier than I thought it was. I just needed the right inspiration, you know. So yeah, it's just kind of cool. Like I guess in turn with all of that, and also too, it helps because how you're saying with. It's nice to have like feedback and nice to have positive feedback, things like that, people building you up. And like, even if you don't do something really well and they're just like, hey man, like it's good, but you could do this better, or like think about this or do this, it's like, okay, cool. Like I can take that as constructive criticism, because you're not coming from a place of malice. You're like trying to build me up and trying to tell me how to be better, as opposed to like tearing it down and saying this is awful,
Well, and the thing about that is there's 2 sides to that, honestly. Because you've got the people who may hate what you're doing just for whatever reason, and try to talk shit, try to make you feel bad about it, whatever, you got no life, whatever, whatever people say. But the other thing, which I think is worse, is all the people that they listen to your stuff or they watch your stuff or whatever, and they're just like, oh, that's cool, great, and that's it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
No criticism whatsoever, no analytics whatsoever. Like I appreciate that you care enough to check out what I'm doing, but if your thoughts on it are nothing at all, like really, because then at that point it's kind of a doubt thing. Is it's like, do you really care? Like,
Yeah.
is anything that you're saying about this valid? And are you only saying it to make me feel better?
Right. Like, did I
That's
actually
the
invoke
biggest thing.
an emotion in you of some sort?
Yeah, I was a part of a group for a while called Avid Addicts. They're a local group of artists and startup influencers, and that was a common thing. And it was the first experience I'd had with the group. Like, we met in person. All these people that I'd never met before who all lived in the area, we got together. Some of them were rappers, some of them were singers, some of them were like makeup artists. It was like anybody who did anything. You know, it was a group of those people. And we were all around the same age group. Like, we had all like either still in high school, about to graduate, or just graduated. And the issue was every time anybody brought anything forth, yeah, there was support, but it was like the half-ass, like, oh, that's great, what's next? Like, just trying to make them feel better that they spent the time to make it. It's like, you know, I'm not really here
Just a pat
to,
on the back.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's not why I do what I do. Like, I'm not really doing it for the criticism, but I'm also not doing it just so that you're like, oh, that's a cool thing you did. Like, I'm looking to see how it affects the people that I make it, because I'm not making it for me. I put out a song recently and I hate it. Like, 90% of what I make, I do not like. Like, it's cool when I make it at first. Like, I'm writing the lyrics to it, or I hear the beat, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, it sounds amazing. It captures the feeling I'm trying to put forth. And I listen to it. I get the master file back from my editor, and I'm like, this is trash. What am I doing? And then I release it, and it's like, why did I release that? I just paid money to put trash out on the internet.
Yeah.
But I do it because I'll send like snippets to people, and I'm just like, hey, if you get a chance, listen to this, let me know what you think. And it's always like, it's not always positive, which is good, because that's what I'm looking for. Generally, I don't want positive, because that's all you get. Like, we don't really live in at least, maybe I'm privileged, but we don't really live in a all negative feedback kind of thing, because most people don't really feel like trolling like that. Most people are not going to be like, oh, you're never going to be anything.
Yeah, or at least not in
You know, it's-
person.
it's-
Like,
yeah,
that's why
it's-
the internet's a good thing sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect there, because you don't really, you can say whatever you want, and you can try to make somebody feel better, even if in your mind you're like, that's garbage. There's no point in them doing that. They're going to still be doing that by the time they're 30 or whatever. Like, so, but yeah, that's kind of, it's a two-way street. You know, finding criticism, but then finding good criticism that's something that helps you know what to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's just not like, oh, yeah, it's so great. Like, oh, okay, cool. Right, does that mean you're going to listen
doesn't
to
help
it
me.
some more? Or did you not like it?
right,
I mean,
right. Like, I sell my stuff on iTunes. I mean, if it was that great, why didn't you pay the 99 cents to buy it?
right, yeah.
So I guess we've kind of opened up two different topics. Which way do we want to go? Do we want to go with groups that we've been a part of and that have inspired us to continue on to doing what we do now? Or do we want to go with inspirations that we have in our craft? Which door? Door number one, door number two?
I'm thinking door number one is where we're headed.
Okay.
You know, it just
Alright.
seems more like a more natural thing.
Okay.
Right on.
So then let's do that. Do you? So what about you, Steven? Or do you want to send it off to somebody else here?
I'll pass the buck.
Okay.
I need time to
Do you
think.
want any of you two want to go first?
I mean, I can
Okay.
go whenever.
So what have you?
So for me, you know, Primal Target is the first group I've been a part of, and I mean, for me, I've always wanted to, you know, I've always watched YouTube and stuff like that since, you know, the OG days, and it's just kind of like,
Rate
man,
5 stars.
I wish,
Oh,
wish I
God,
could-
the 5 stars. I remember that.
I wish I could do all
God,
that,
dude,
you
that
know,
was
and
so long
you know,
ago.
Ray William Johnson.
oh yeah, back when he was, you know, alive and well on YouTube. You know, for me, I mean, I grew up kind of, you know, not well off at all. You know, I didn't get an opportunity to pursue any interests that I did have growing up. But I always looked at, you know, oh wow, these guys are, you know, making these games like way different. You know, it's different than just watching, you know, my dad play or, you know, my brother play. They make it fun. You know, I'm not falling asleep watching someone else play.
Yeah.
You know, this game that I just want to play. You know, I want to play the game, but I also want to watch this other person play it. You know, that's how entertaining it is.
I would watch my brother play Elder Scrolls 4, and I would just get so
Yeah.
bored. And then I'd watch somebody else play it online. I'm like, why is this so much better? Like, what? I don't get it.
It's commentary, man.
Yeah, like
man,
there's just something about it. Like you've got to have a charisma
Yeah.
a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, that's like one of my biggest challenges right now is keeping an ongoing commentary. Because growing up, like, it's supposed to be a quiet house. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm talking too loud, and my voice travels pretty easily, even when I think I'm talking very quietly.
Other
Some
people can hear it.
other end of the
Same,
house.
man.
I'm like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah, I know how you're
I'm
feeling,
sorry,
man.
and like, you know,
I get that
I'll,
all the time.
if I talk, I can't play. That's you know, I get grounded kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, my voice is too loud.
So
So
it's conditioned to the point of where you're like,
Yeah.
now I don't.
so I'm still trying to break out of that. There's a lot of dead air
Yeah.
with my stuff, in my opinion, right now. But basically, you know, one of my biggest things there was, you know, I want to make people laugh. I want to make people feel good because that's what I like. And, you know, I never knew how to do it. No one showed me how to do it or anything like that. But then, you know, the Twitch app came out for, you know, Xbox. You can just do it straight from the console, no equipment necessary. I was like, oh, I'll try this. You know, I had like a couple people in chat, and Ryan showed up in my chat, and I was like, oh, hey. And he was like, oh, you know, keep up the good work. You're doing good. And I knew that he was, you know, doing Primal Target and stuff like that. And secretly, I was like, oh, I hope he asks me. Because doing things on your own is just so, you know, especially when you don't know what you're doing, it's
Yeah.
just so discouraging. And you're just kind of
Yeah.
like, please, somebody pick me up.
There's a surge
Please.
of creativity every time somebody offers to collaborate in some
Yeah.
way.
So it's just like, man, what the fuck? You know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to do any of this, you know, and people have all these cool shit going on. I don't even know where to begin to look
Yep.
at all this stuff. And, you know, about a month goes by, and Ryan's like, hey, man, let's go out to eat. And we go to Happy Tea,
Hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Nice.
and
Which
OG.
one?
The one over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And
Number
he's-
5.
Yeah.
We get to
Is that
talking.
Is that
I don't-
5 or 3?
I don't know.
I think this one's number 3. I think
this one over here is 3.
Yeah,
The
I
good
think
one.
I think
Yeah.
5's
Right,
over in Tumwater.
This one and the one in Tumwater are the two only
Yeah.
good
Oh,
ones.
Tumwater. Yeah, I like the Tumwater one
Yeah.
a lot. But we digress.
Yes.
Um,
That's for the food episode.
But like, yeah, dude, it'll have to be a food episode for sure. But you know, we get talking. He's like, "So do you like what you do?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. You know, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it." At the time, I had like, you know, maybe like 20 followers after doing it for like a couple months, and he's like, "What do you think about doing it for Primal Target?" I'm like, "Yes." And I'm like, I played on nonchalant. Yeah, sure, dude. You know, no problem. In my mind, I'm like, fucking thank God, somebody,
Oh my
somebody reached
God.
out.
I feel that so.
You know, it's just like I can't. You know, it's so hard to do it on your own because you don't. You know, I didn't know how to network. I didn't know how to do anything. You know, Primal Target was the only other people that I knew that did stuff. You know, that I had, you know, already a connection with, but.
Right. It's like a
I'm too-
physical outreach you can go on.
It was a
yeah.
pride thing. I didn't want to like reach
Yeah.
out and be like, "Yo, can I be a part of your,
Well, 'cause
part
you don't
of
want
your
to seem
thing?"
forward. You don't want to seem
Yeah.
like rude. Like, oh, can I inject myself into what you're
And
doing
yeah.
for
Yeah.
my gain?
And it's
Yeah.
rather intimidating too, because just the amount of you don't need a lot to get set up for like starting out and making anything on YouTube, but like you basically need a microphone and some kind of capture device of some sort if you're going to do gameplay,
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
and like a decent computer, and it's like really not a lot. But then when you're watching somebody do it online, and you're like, dude, I don't even know how they began to do this. You know, it's like I need somebody to help. You know, like because like you're saying, it's very discouraging when you don't
Yeah.
know what you're doing and you're trying to get started and you don't have any like help. You know, it's like trying to just learn something from scratch. It can be a lot harder than having help or having peers to aid you through the process.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess like for me, like Ryan extending, you know, that seeing an opportunity that, you know, I was not really okay. Straight up, I was not good at streaming. Like straight up, you know, and I guess I don't know. Maybe Ryan saw something. Like I guess you probably just picked me up because I had like a passion for it. You know, I liked doing it, even though I didn't know what the fuck I was doing or supposed to do. So once that happened, you know, it's a huge game changer for me. Like you know, right now, you know, have, you know, people who come to, you know, every stream for Primal Target. You know, they come to hang out with me. Doesn't matter what game I'm playing, which is what I was going for. You know, we're not super big yet, but you know,
But just that
having
dedicated
fun.
following. It could
Yeah.
be like two
Yeah,
people, and
you know,
it's
Getting
feels so good.
dedicated.
those couple people that
Yeah.
show up, you know, as often as they can. You know,
That's
they
a
may
start.
they're
miss
not
a
there for
stream
the
here
game.
and
They're
there.
there for you, and that's
Doesn't
what
matter.
matters.
If I have one person hanging out with me the whole stream, that makes my entire day.
Hell yeah.
And then like Ryan's been helping me with like, you know, the whole YouTube end of things. You know, he literally taught me everything I know about how to work on YouTube, you know, and editing. You know, I'm kind of getting more into now as well with the post-production type of stuff. You know, with the Smash videos, that's where I'm starting to kind of
Mm-hmm.
self-teach, I guess, a little bit. You know, kind of figure more ideas out, and
There's so much to do there too.
there's
Like-
a lot of opportunity, and
Editing's
I'm just
crazy.
now using it. You know, I've been doing content on the YouTube end of things for almost a year now for the editing and everything like that, and you know, now I'm actually trying to adventure, and you know, that itself has kind of been helping me to, you know, be better at commentating, because now I'm thinking of ways to set myself up for post-production.
See,
Set
there you
myself
go.
up for those
Yeah,
edits
there
and
you
help
go.
my future self kind of
Just-
thing.
I mean, you could go the route PewDiePie went and just hire
Brad?
two Brads.
Brad and
Yeah.
one and Brad too.
Yeah, but we
don't get paid, though.
We don't get paid to do this. We actually pay to do this.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it's working right now. But I don't know, it's just like Primal Target in itself, I'll always be like eternally grateful. Like they've brought me to heights that I didn't even think I was gonna ever see. And, you know, it may not seem like a lot to other people, but to me it's just like Primal Target helped me kind of like latch on to that part of my dream that I wanted to achieve.
I'm waiting on the day we see that logo on a billboard.
Hey man, it's
It's
already
gonna
on
happen.
shirts and
Yeah,
stickers,
yeah,
That's
so
what I'm saying.
Shirts,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying, man. I believe in the dream. I'll gladly step out and say that, because you guys have an amazing thing going.
Sweet. All right, Josh. I mean, like you've kind of said some of your story, but I mean, like, what is, I guess, the progression to now? I guess.
To now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess
The journey.
well, yeah, because I guess like my journey now, because like as of the past few years, I've been wanting to get into more like video and putting things online, stuff like that. Because as far as like writing goes, you know, I feel like I'm pretty good at that. Like I'm not the best, obviously. Like I always have to learn things and stuff. But when it comes to creating or having ideas for things and being able to get like the basic ideas down, writing those down, like any kind of storyboarding, stuff like that kind of stuff, I think comes pretty naturally to me. But then when it comes to all these technical things, that's where I tend to have trouble. And so like now where I'm at, I feel a lot more comfortable because of just being part of this group, and everything has really helped me expand that. I've been able to learn about like, you know, sound equipment, microphones, capture cards, all that kind of thing, you know. So that's been really great, and that's been a big help. It's kind of helped step me a couple steps forward in essentially my creative dream, because, you know, in order to make what I want to make happen, I want to learn certain aspects of different creative processes, you know, because I want to do animation, I want to do movies or shorts or whatever. You know, we were talking about like putting together shows and things, and
Yeah, keeping those.
can't wait.
Yeah, you know,
And so
yeah,
you kind of like you were like keep making the.
yeah, I was
shows.
like, yeah, nothing specific, but yeah, but you know, we've got some ideas and stuff,
there's
and
some stuff. There's some
yeah,
stuff.
and it's good to bounce ideas off of people and things, and I think that's also the whole, like how we were talking about networking a little bit, like I think that's one thing that I've really improved on, because just the fact that like I'm here talking, you know, in a group and stuff. Normally, like a few years ago, I'd be like, I don't want to go anywhere.
Well, I mean,
don't wanna
even
do
then,
anything."
Bro,
a
that's
year
me
ago,
every week.
Yeah,
well, even a year ago, we didn't know you.
Right.
So it's
yeah.
like-
yeah. Because
yeah.
I only started working with you, like last February or March, something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's not even been a full year yet. And within that year, I've made a few new friends. I've gotten a lot more advanced in this whole YouTube thing and podcasting and stuff. And and it's just been, a good eye-opening experience and a good what is it? It helped me kind of break through some of those boundaries because like I was saying, normally like a couple of years ago, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, I want to do that, but I don't really want to come over and, this and that. And I'd be kind of closed off and reserved about it. But now I feel like, if I don't get to it, I think if I don't have the passion for it, like how you guys were saying, then I'm never going to do it. And so it's like, just like how you were saying at the beginning of 2019, it's like, dude, like I'm going to just try to do stuff this year. Like I need to make a change in my life to where like I need to start creating things. I need to make things. I need to get moving on that, because if I don't, it's not going to go anywhere. And regardless of whether or not I get famous, if I get followers, if I make money, whatever, I just need to know that I'm doing something that I love and I'm passionate about, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I feel like I lost that in the last few years. I feel like there were a lot of distractions in my life and stuff, and now I feel a lot better about where I'm at. Things could always be better in life. Like, we all have our
Grass is
personal,
always greener.
right. We all have our personal issues and stuff. But as far as like, just the creative side of me and like the, I guess the extrovert side of me is like definitely being fulfilled as of late, and and it's been good. Like it's just helped keep the stress out of my life.
Yeah.
So
Like being filled.
yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Yep. I like being filled.
Yeah.
No, I feel what you're saying though, man. Like
Never mind.
cooperating with other people, even if you have like no rapport with them whatsoever, there's an excitement that comes to it. And there's, even if you're antisocial, like I'm with you on that 100%, because I don't talk to anybody. I don't do it. Like I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
And so like if somebody manages to get me out of the house to go do something,
Yes.
that's always a good experience for me.
Yeah.
And when it's something like this, where it's creative environment and it's people working together to brainstorm to come up with content, it's crazy, because like you go through your daily life, being stuck in your head all the time and going through things yourself, but then you go and you talk to other people and you bounce ideas off of them and you bring out your ideals and whatnot. It's really cool to see how that presents itself. So I'm with you there, and learning how to do new stuff is huge. Like I wouldn't know anything about the mic, even like the type of microphone I use, like whatever, like having a pop filter, having this or that. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know any of that if I didn't work with, any of the people that I've worked with, because they only knew a little bit, but they taught me what they knew, and that, it builds. It's always the growth is spectacular.
Yeah, you
It's
watch
cool.
that seed turn into a little
Yeah.
bud, and then it turns into a flower, and it's
Right.
like, dude, like, how did all this just grow from
Right,
like
because if you
nothing?
never open that
You know?
door, then you'll never have that opportunity. Like, you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And me and my comfort zone, man, we have a great relationship.
Yeah, I hear
We've been
you
together
there.
a long time.
Yeah.
So
Go way back.
we are on the back half of the hour. So Steven, why don't you give us a quick rundown of your journey so far
Right on.
to now?
Well, creative wise, I know I talked about it a little bit in the music episode. I started, the inspiration came from my mom, because she's a singer, songwriter, pianist, and that kind of started me off, just because it was like, this is in my blood. This is something I've been around my whole life. If I don't try it, I'm wasting the opportunity. Like I never played piano. I've still never played piano. I don't really have any intention of learning. I grew up with it. I got tired of it. So, that ship has kind of sailed. But opening up the door for music and just creation in general, that was a huge part of the beginning for me. Transitioning from homeschool to public school, huge transition, because now I'm surrounded by not necessarily like-minded people, but like maturity level wise, they're in the same zone as me. They're going through things that I'm going through, and I have an opportunity to relate in that way and get some sort of like exposure to other people.
Yeah. It
So-
broadens your horizons a
Yeah.
little bit, seeing like
Exactly.
the outside
and,
world.
And that's where I met the first guy that that was musically inclined outside of my family, and that was Lucas. and he and I would make music together. Like we hit it off immediately. He's a ginger too, but he's a skinny, so we're kind of like if we became a rap duo, it would be incredible. But yeah, like he brought me over to the side of like actually creating and having an idea and a picture of what it looks like to go start to finish, to find a beat or to make a beat, to rap on it, or to write something that's coherent and gets a listener interested, and then recording it, figuring out how to master it or send it off to somebody, whatever, and then putting it out there, start to finish, because I didn't know any of that. I before I met him, I had a garbage MacBook laptop. I can't even remember where I got it from, but it had GarageBand on it, like the stripped down to nothing version of GarageBand, and I would make these little recordings with I think it wasn't a Blue Snowball. It was like a USB microphone that I got from Best Buy, and it was crap. But it was my first experience, and I was so proud of having that, because I was like, I know how this works. I know how to make it work. I know like what's happening, how the sound's being transmitted. Knowing the how and the why is a huge deal for me. So meeting people that could teach me that was crazy. But after putting out a couple of smaller things on my own, I went through some times in my life that were things that were brought on by my own actions, but I kind of wallowed in it, because when you get depressed and when you get all of that heaping on top of itself, it's really, really, really easy to just kind of cave in on yourself and not go out and not talk to people and do all that. And that was a huge portion, I think, of my young adult life, because I moved out at 18 and it was just kind of rocky from there. But I met with a group of people. I mentioned them earlier, the Avid Addicts, and it was a good experience. I won't say it was a negative experience, because I did learn a lot from it. There were things that were not so great, and it didn't end so great. And actually, around the time I left, it dissolved completely. Not necessarily because of me, but it was just that time where things changed, and it was clear that they needed to go another route. But that kind of taught me how to get out of my comfort zone and talk to a group of people, because it's one thing to meet somebody that you have something in common with and just talk and get into it together and have like a breakthrough in your brain where you can create some stuff. It's another thing to present that to a whole bunch of people that you don't necessarily know, and gauge their physical reactions and deal with the anxiety and whatnot of that. So after that group, I did a lot of stuff on my own. That actually led me to create my first actual release. It was a 5-song EP called the Swantown EP. I went in studio for that. I had the guy do the mixing and mastering engineering, and it was crap. But I enjoyed making it, and he enjoyed producing it, and it's still out there somewhere today. I'm maybe going to remaster it one day. We'll see. Ooh. But it was the first real project, and I got more out of my shell after that, because I realized I can actually do this. Like sending it out to people or having people share it on their Facebooks and social media and whatnot, and having them say the things that they were saying about it. You could tell it wasn't just fake stuff to make me feel better. Right. And that alone was just like, wow, it's crazy that this might impact people. And I've even heard, from some people close to me that a couple of the songs on there got them through hard times, and that's just mind blowing. Oh. Like it something that I really didn't like, that I wasn't super proud of, actually had an effect on somebody that was more than just, oh, this is cool, never plays it again. It's not an ego thing. Like part of me is like, that makes me feel really good about myself, but at the same time, it's just like, where do you go from there? Like what's next? How do I keep the status quo?
I remember when you were releasing that, I asked you if I could play it on my streams, and I did. I definitely did.
Crazy, man.
There's an exhilarating feeling, I think, that like no matter who it is, and regardless of whether or not, I guess, if it's negative or positive, but obviously more leaning towards positive. But it is good to know that whenever you make anything, like, and I even get this at work when I make a coffee and somebody's just like, oh, this is a good coffee.
Right.
It's just like
something you put work into.
That's awesome. Like I put my love into that. And seriously. You noticed, regardless of whether or not you don't like it or you do, you notice that I tried on it. Right. And it's like, it's just really cool because, it's like, I remember when I was doing acting in school, in high school, and I would go up and like do these plays in front of all these people that I didn't necessarily know personally. You know, like they're kids from my class and stuff, and people from outside of school coming to watch it and stuff. And yeah, I'd be nervous. I'd go through the anxiety initially before getting on stage, but then as soon as you click into that persona or of whatever you're doing, it's just all of a sudden like that's all gone. I'm having a great time,
moment.
yeah, doing what I'm doing, and then later on when you find out people are like, dude, that was awesome, you know, like keep at it or whatever, or you know, you could always do this to make it a little bit better, but that's really cool. It's like, whoa, sweet, like I feel really good,
That's
like
such
knowing
a cool
that
feeling, man.
I
My
made
first show
these-
was like that. I was just like,
yeah. It's always cool,
Powerful.
and I can imagine videos, you know, making videos is like that, you know, because it's as soon as you guys probably got your first subscribers, your first commenters, it's like, whoa, like people are paying attention to us, like this is cool, you know.
Feels good, man.
it's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
So we have 10 minutes.
All right, Ryan.
We just
Let's
got to
hear it,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah, so like I started on YouTube long ago. I mean it's a lot of trial and fail of trying to be what you like watch on YouTube, and you're like, oh, I love doing that. Like I love watching this. I want to make that. And yeah, and so I started making content on YouTube back in probably middle school. Like I really got
What
into
year
it.
was that?
2007 or 8.
Yeah,
Damn,
when
that
I
was
really
only
got
like a
into
couple
it
years
was
after it
probably
started.
2008. Yeah, and
Wow.
so like 2008 was like when I was like, oh man, this is like really cool. I love watching it. Like I wanted an iPod just to watch it, and so like the continuation from that was I wanted to make skits because that was like all the people I subscribed to was skits. And so I wanted to make that, so I started making videos at church.
God,
I
I
had
remember
you make
those.
one with me. I had a couple of them with you.
The bully series, dude.
Yeah,
Oh my
unfortunately,
God.
never saw the light of day except the first episode. We made like 7 episodes, and only one of them made it out because my iPod got. I was trying to do some stuff with it, and they. And because I was trying to do some stuff with it, it got rewritten because it was not on my computer, and I didn't know that was what was going to happen, and so I lost all the footage. So yeah, so that was, but the first episode's out. So I've had like 4 YouTube channels, 4 YouTube channels total. And so
True
the first
BSU
try,
Bronco.
yeah, True BSU Bronco was my first one. And then from there, I started doing, I was like, oh, well, you know, I like video game stuff. Like I want to make video game content. So I started, cause that was what the content I was watching. So I started making video game stuff, and I looked into what I needed to buy, what the capture stuff. Christian bought like the Hapog HD PVR, and so like I was like, oh dude, that's so cool, but I couldn't get a PC, so I'm like, I gotta find one that doesn't have a PC. So then I bought an AverMedia capture card, which didn't require one, and I was like, all right, bet, here we go. So I did
Medieval Bronco.
Yeah, and so Medieval Bronco became the second channel. These are all still up, by the way.
I was actually just
They're
about
all
to
still
ask.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
subscribed to all of them.
If you
still.
want to, go ahead. So yeah, Medieval Bronco was after that. Then GDoc started, and GDoc stood for Gaming Disciples of Christ. It was a name that I came up with because like the Gaming Disciples of Christ part of it, but Kent, the guy I was starting this with, wanted an acronym, and I couldn't come up with an acronym, and I was like GDOC. I don't know what there was a whole bunch of names I was rolling with. And then my mom kind of helped me out on some of them. I'm like, oh, well, if you do this and that and the other deal. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I started doing it. And then GDoc became, I was like, GDOC was the name. Then I texted it to Kent. Kent was like, oh, it kind of looks like GDoc, like Google Document. And I was like, oh, okay. So we just pronounced it like that for now on. GDoc was the thing.
It's awesome.
I did that for 5 years, which was the main thing was it was a guys' night. It started out as a guys' night where the teens and the youth group would come together and we would just play games for 12 hours from like 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
That was
Yeah.
most of
no
my
sleep.
childhood.
And that was like every like every other Friday, like every month there was a guys' night.
Yeah.
And then eventually, around the second year, we were like, well, let's bring girls in, like because the girls wanted to be a part of it because the girls' night was weak. and the girls wanted to be a part of GDOC.
They were probably busy doing each other's makeup
Yeah,
and all that
it was
kind of
literally
junk.
just they went to one of the girl leaders because that was the thing is like we didn't have any girl leaders that would stay.
Yep.
It was only guys, so that was the only thing we had to do. So girls, we had to have a girl leader. Finally, I think it was Joey Gerassi's mom stayed, and
Yeah.
she was the reason why we were able to like do this.
That is so cool. Like she's just on fire
yeah,
about everything she does.
Exactly. And so because of that, we were able to do, and then my mom stayed. So then we were able to have girls stay for GDOC because again, it's an overnighter. And if there's an overnighter, we need a girl leader. And so because of that, we got to have girls be a part of it. And then, then someone else got introduced into the equation. I'm not going to bring in that kind of negativity to this. But long story short, it just, one person wanted to kind of take over it, and Kent and I were still trying to figure out our thing. And so while the other person was saying, oh, well, you can't do this because you're not going to have a budget. But then there was another thing that was having a budget. And so we were like, well, we bring in a lot of teens. We bring in teens from not even a part of the church. Like, why don't we have like a little, because we're bringing it was an event. GDOC was an event. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that. GDOC was an event. And all
was
the
it
teens
something
could
that
come.
the church put on?
We put it on.
Oh,
but
okay.
The church just
hosted
held
it.
the
Yeah,
rooms
they
for it,
provided the
basically.
building,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
we brought all of our consoles. So we brought our Xboxes, our PlayStation.
I think my friends used to do something
yeah,
similar
and
to
all
that.
this stuff. And so all of the equipment that we brought is our stuff.
Okay.
Here's a bad situation when that happens. Mark Ketchum, we mentioned in the last episode,
Yep.
or the last
Related
episode,
to
you
Ash?
were part of it. What?
Really?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Okay.
I just didn't laugh.
And he gets that a lot too. But anyway, he brought his SNES, and someone pulled the controller cord, flung off the thing, and shattered like glass. That happens.
Wow.
So it's like, and my my NES blew a fuse in it.
Oh,
the
damn.
power brick, because someone plugged it into something that it shouldn't be plugged into.
Yeah.
So the NES works, but the power brick is broken. So it's like that equipment is our stuff.
Yeah,
so when
you
we're
guys are
bringing-
out those
Yeah,
things.
when you guys
Cost.
are bringing it and breaking it, then it's our stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of a thing, and I wasn't agreeing with that. Ken wanted to keep it as an event. This is towards the end of it, about the fourth year of it, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, you know, I kind of want to do YouTube stuff, so I started doing YouTube stuff. We did a Minecraft series called In Control, was going to be our gameplay series, and In Control was really fun to do. And then I wanted to do a podcast, which became GDOC Talk, and so GDOC United is the channel if you want to see it. And so that was kind of that thing. And then from there, I was like, Kent didn't want to do that anymore, and I didn't want to push him into it. So I was like, all right, fine. He wanted to keep GDOC as just an event. And I was like, well, I want to keep doing YouTube stuff. I want to make skits. I want to do stuff. Do you mind if I do that with other people? And he's like, yeah, you know, do your thing. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I texted Christian like late at night, and I'm like, dude, I'm so done with like, what do I want to do with my life? And I feel like I want to do this. So let's do this. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's meet up tomorrow, and we'll have a dinner or lunch or whatever. So we both meet up, and we go to Coibito, and we eat,
Nice.
and we're trying to figure out like what our name is going to be. I'm like, well, let's figure something out. And he's like, something Target thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, or Targets is the thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's good. And I go, what if we did like Primal Target, and because PT was a big deal. And so we were like, and then our initials are PT. And he's like, oh, that's dope. And so we were like, Primal Targets. And so Primal Targets was our thing. And then I started looking it up, and like Primal Targets. And as I was seeing it written, I was like, Primal Targets sounds kind of stupid. And so I dropped the S, and Primal Target became the thing. We got it pretty much on everything. Like, but there was some stuff that we couldn't get. Like our Twitter is Primal_Target and things like that. But usually we were able to get it. About the 5th year of GDOC, so I'm doing both. I'm doing Primal Target and GDOC. I get a text I text Kent. I'm like, hey, when's the next event we're doing it? And he's like, oh, yeah, I need to talk to you. And so I was like, okay, cool. We hadn't done an event in like 5 months.
Oh,
we used to
okay.
do them quarterly.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And so we meet up, and he's like, yeah, they don't want you to be a part of it anymore. And I'm like, why is that? And apparently the person brought it to the attention of the church board, or the person that is kind of in charge, and said that because of what I was doing, I wasn't able to come back. And I wasn't able to come help. I wasn't able to do anything about it.
Because you were doing the YouTube
because
stuff?
I was doing Primal Target, and because Christian swore I was associated with it. And so,
Which is
guilty by
garbage that
association.
it's- yeah.
She never saw my stuff.
Wait, so what was wrong with you doing Primal Target stuff? That's
Because I was associated with a negative outlook with also being a part of
non-family
G-Dog.
friendly.
Yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
So-
He was sinning up in there,
Oh,
man.
I
So,
got
no,
like
I
you
wasn't-
swearing
I
in a
wasn't.
video or something.
I
they'd be like,
didn't-
"Oh,
I
don't
didn't
do that."
But the fact
No.
that there was any
But
semblance of it
I
in,
get you.
in a
Okay.
But
recorded,
Christian
yeah.
did it. Yeah. And so because of that, I was guilty by association, and they kicked me out, and they were like, Kent's like, hey, I don't want it to come off as like I'm doing this, like I'm being told to do this. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not gonna shoot the messenger kind of thing. So whatever. And so he's like, well, you know, so and so could talk to you, not the third person. This is the person that told I can't be a part of it. And you could talk to her, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like I was thinking about
Just
it for a
let it
while.
go.
and I'm
At
like,
that point,
basically.
it's probably
yeah,
not
I'm
worth
like,
your time.
You know what?
Yeah.
If you won't even give me the light of day the first try,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my time to come
Yep.
get in your schedule so I can speak
Yeah.
my piece.
And just
So I'm
move
like,
on to the next thing.
yeah. So I was like,
basically,
whatever. I'm devoting everything to Primal Target. So I started doing that, and I tried bringing in some of the G-Doc people with me. They didn't really have their heart with it, so I'm like, fine, whatever. I started talking with people at my old place of work because I don't want to out David and Quinn, and they were like, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a video game podcast with you guys. And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then Bitcade was made. And then Quinn came up with Bitcade. And so, like, the name of it. And then we eventually started doing that. Quinn said, you know, my heart's not in it. I got a lot of emotional, like, not emotional baggage, but, like, a lot of stuff
like
that
life
he has
stuff,
to deal
yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm totally fine with that. Let's do it. And he
was so good about it.
He gave his notice, like, way ahead of time. And then at the end of that year, he stepped down. And then Christian kind of stepped away. His heart wasn't in it. And so it's like people, I don't want to hold them hostage. Like if you want to go do
Right.
stuff, don't forget
Well,
it.
because people have life priorities, and you know, it's hard to be mad at it.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah, come on, man. Just let me know. Just let me know. So anyway, that's kind of my journey to Primal Target. And then I eventually brought on Ashton and Josh. And it's, you know, you've heard their story. So
and the legend was born.
yeah, and then Primal Target has become what it is now. But I think that if we keep this fire going, like if we're going back to the train analogy, we got to keep filling this train with
Yeah.
fire and keep it the coal and keep it going. But we've hit an hour, boys, and I went a little bit over, but I tried to fill it all in there.
That's all right.
There's
It
a
was-
lot
it
of
was real,
pieces I
like-
missed in there, but
Yeah.
you
We
know,
talk
that's
too
the
much,
most
man. We
part.
talk too much.
Yeah. We didn't even get to like our inspirations. We can do that as a different topic too.
Totally.
So it's not a big deal. But
My inspiration is you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, just look for the part
Y'all-
twos.
y'all
They're
make
all
this
be
easy.
coming.
yeah,
Like,
there's a whole bunch of part 2s we want to make, but we haven't.
Oh yeah.
But Steven, thank you
Yeah,
for joining.
thank you guys for having me.
Do you got any plugs you want to throw out there?
Oh, I mean, yeah, sure. My YouTube St. Croix Music. I may do some gaming stuff on there eventually. I
Ooh.
finally got a gaming computer set up, so we'll see.
Oh.
I gotta get a
Maybe-
video card for it.
Maybe
but
we
Nice.
could do another crossover with some GTA.
maybe. Hell yeah. But yeah, in the meantime, check me out. St. Croix Music, Young Cholesterol. That's my gamer tag on Xbox. All I play is Fortnite because that's all I have.
Dude, what?
It's
So,
free.
Yeah, and I'm terrible at
Okay.
it, so don't add me to your squad.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, and Steven's links will be posted all in the link in the description for you guys to click
course.
upon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Anything for you guys? You guys over there? You got nothing?
That's it. I mean, that's all, folks.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry. Ah, damn it. Copyright.
we mentioned Ray William Johnson. He's already copyrighted our thing. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been PT3600. Make sure you definitely hit the subscribe button here on iTunes if you're listening on iTunes. If you're on Podbean for you Android listeners, go ahead and hit subscribe there as well. If you're listening to the video or watching the video version on YouTube, you see the little bubble float around. Make sure you definitely hit the subscribe button as well as tap the bell button to get notified when videos get uploaded. Did you want me to play another song of yours?
Sure. You
Okay,
go
what
right
song-
ahead. I've
what
got
song are we
like 3
listening
of
to?
them.
What song we gonna hear, man?
Yeah, what song you want
Let's
to set
start
up
with
here?
the first one that actually came out on legit streaming. Let's
Okay.
do Horizon.
Horizon.
Yeah, all
okay.
right.
First
You
creative
want to set up this
outlet.
the song?
Yeah, it was one of those. Ironically, came from a video game. I used to play racing games as a kid, and I've still, that's kind of carried over. And my favorite racing game series of all has been the Forza Horizon series.
Yeah.
Because of the music aspect of it and the cars aspect of it, and then the scenery and everything. So Horizon has 3 eyes because it's Horizon 3, which is set in Australia.
Nice.
And so I reference that a lot in the song, and it's just kind of about the general like intro to the creative process and getting out there to actually put something out.
Good song
Nice.
for this the creative episode. Also, if you guys want to check out, Steven and I did do Forza Horizon 3 on the
Yes,
channel.
we did.
So you guys can go check that out. It's a playlist that's all set up for you guys. So if you want to go check that out,
Absolutely.
it is available for you. Anyway, that is going to be it. Here is Horizon by Sacred.
Laters.
Candy painted crayons, wax heavy paper, breaking up the seance. Just hit me up later. Man, I'm trying to sleep and you keep playing, trying to wake me up. I got overtime to work and I ain't got no time to club. This my reality, I'm dead inside with deadlines. Got hope for music though, one day I'll get those headlines. Shout out Drake and every rapper from my late teens. Even if you falling off your topic to do great things. See me all fall in love, maybe girls, maybe cash, maybe tracks, maybe drugs. Got above, huh? It's a world of our own. Maybe one that we could get along, make a song, maybe not, cause we too offendable. Everyone need a safe place. Can't save the planet, so maybe we should just save space. Hand in hand with that, these politicians save face, but ain't no point cause they ugliest when they say grace. I'm waiting for them open-handed. Ain't the 1st or 15th, but I still demand it. Long overdue from my payment. I can't even keep it cause it's all going to pay rent. That's just how this life is, so quit complaining. That's what people told me, believed in what they saying. Like how I could never make a living rapping saying that my soul was nothing and I'm not worth saving. Wow. Leaning by the back door outside of my workplace, taking off that real smile, putting on my work face. Hi, how are you? Thanks for shopping, that's great. Wish someone would run up in here with a 38 and switch my day up. Maybe put one in my leg so I'll be steady laid up. Maybe not recover and go in a coma, hey I'm not suicidal, I just make minimum pay Bring me that Horizon 3, I'm flying to Australia. And we gone, just like that. For the newest things I need to gain the earth. And if I lose my soul then it's collateral, I'm sure. Can't afford the newest things I need to gain the earth. But if I lose my soul then it's collateral, I'm sure. Hey.